Good morning, Kitchen Witches. Today is Saturday, June 27th, and this is your tarot and menu planning inspiration for the day. I'm Chef Lisa, editor-in-chief of A Chef's Grimoire magazine. We're going to pick one card that's going to give us all we need to know about the day. It really is. Let's shuffle, see what our card for June 27th is going to be. What is a card that's going to plan our meals and give us all we need to know for the day? Oops. I'm not taking that card. I'm going to take the one that's on the top. Yeah. The Hierophant. This is a major arcana. Hierophant, ancient hierophants, right? Going thousands of years back. Ancient hierophants are priests that interpreted sacred mysteries. So, this picture is depicted as what looks like a cardinal or a priest, yes? And they're preaching to the accolades that are at their feet, but the sacred mysteries. So here again being depicted, if you can see at the bottom between the accolades are two keys, right? It's usually, these are two gold keys, right? And those keys are what unlocks all the answers that you're seeking. And most people need a conformity, right? They need an institution of some sort, probably a church, where they can find the mysteries to life. So that's what this card represents, right? Our spiritual wisdom as a collective and being part of that. So it's deep and heavy, but it is a major arcana. Now, when we go into the minor arcanas, right, all of the fives, and that's what this card is numbered, all of the fives in the minor arcana usually have something to do with conflicts, right? So in conflicting situations in our lives, it's usually due to us either punching at air, not really knowing where the punch is going to land, or someone doing that to us and us not feeling confident enough or understanding enough of the situation to rectify it right away. And that's why it's a conflict, right? So we search and think about how to resolve the issues. And sometimes it doesn't just take, lived experience. Sometimes you really have to go deeper. You have to go into what your morals are, what your higher learning and your spiritual truths are. And that's where the Hierophant can help you. So this is a great card to meditate on when you're in a conflict or in a situation, a hurdle, right? A massive problem that needs not only feet on the ground, but focus in the air or in the universe or in the spiritual world. It really needs the tangibility of all of that to come in order to find a solution. So today, what you're going to do is you're going to think about, do I have conflict in my life? Are the institutions that I'm part of really part of my moral values? Were they inherited or are they mine? If they're inherited, is it something I believe in? And if not, how can I pull what this institution, this spiritual wisdom is giving me, and maybe conform it into something that really resonates with me. It's big stuff, and you're not going to get it done today, but it is something that you might want to think about today. There you go. So, being very traditional and having all of these secrets, right? You can't not bring our Hierophant friend into the kitchen without bringing in the most traditional cuisine of cooking, which is French cooking. So, our meals today are going to be French inspired. And I'm thinking, let's see, consult my cheat sheet, Hierophant. Yes. So I'm thinking for breakfast, we're going to do a French omelet. And that's going to go with toasted sourdough and amazingly salted butter. Lots of it. So French omelet couldn't be easier. So you're going to whip up your eggs. You're going to add a little cream because that's going to make them creamy and give them a little loft rather than being flat. Salt, pepper. Then you're going to get your pan warm, add a pat of butter, a little oil so the butter doesn't burn, and then boost the heat up. Whip your eggs. If you want eggs that are a little more firm, you want to salt your eggs and leave them on the counter for 5 to 10 minutes, right? Don't have your pan on that long, but the salt will start to draw out the moisture of the eggs and it will make your omelet firmer. If you want it a little more soft, then you're going to cook your eggs right away after whipping them. That's the difference. So your pan is hot, your butter's in there, little oil so the butter doesn't burn. You've now boosted the pan up from a warm to a hot. And you're going to work quickly. You're going to whisk your eggs, you're going to pour them in. And any pan will do, guys, right? You don't need a nonstick pan. It's fine, but if you have a really good, heavy stainless steel pan, by getting it hot, adding the butter, and then adding your eggs, you won't have it sticking. You shouldn't, right? So going back to the eggs, you've poured them in. Now you're going to stir them. Stir, stir, stir until they start to congeal, and they're going to be in one single layer at the bottom of the pan. And when they look like they're not raw on the top anymore, you're going to tilt your pan, and with a spatula or a silicone spatula or a spoon or a fork, whatever you've got, you're going to tilt the omelet so that it rolls on itself into the pan or into itself in the pan. And then you can plate it. You just dump it on the plate and it's this beautiful rolled, gorgeous omelet that is sitting in the middle of your plate. So now, while the omelet was cooking, you're toasting up your sourdough and you take your salted butter that hopefully is room temperature and you spread it liberally over your toast, and it's a meal for a king. Delicious. A French omelet. Yeah. Breakfast done. Moving on to lunch. So I'm thinking we can do salmon with hollandaise and green beans. Hollandaise it's a technique. Some people think it's really difficult, but if you do it in a certain way, it's not. And how I'm going to tell you to do it is you get a deli container or a tall vessel and an immersion blender where the head of the immersion blender just fits inside that cylinder that can take hot liquids. So either glass, the deli container, it's not that hot, so it works, right, in a pinch. And you're going to add egg yolks, you're going to add lemon juice, a little sea salt, and just a little bit of water, right, to the bottom of the vessel. And then you're going to put in your immersion blender, you're going to turn it on, and you've got hot melted butter. And you're going to slowly stream in the butter as the immersion blender's going, And when it gets to a point where you can lift the head of the immersion blender a little bit up and down in the cylinder as the butter is trickling in, it's going to start to, what's the word I'm looking for? Emulsify. So it's going to look like it's creamy without adding any dairy at all, right? Eggs are not dairy, technically. They're eggs. So that's your hollandaise. And you can keep it warm in a pot of water. Like the whole deli container can go into a pot of very lightly warmed water, and it'll hold the hollandaise for an hour at least, pushing it to an hour and a half. But you're going to eat it before then. So the hollandaise is done. It's holding itself beautifully on the back of the stove. You're going to take your piece of salmon and put it into your air fryer or a 400-degree oven, salt, pepper, olive oil. Make it look gorgeous, right? Cook it through. And then while it's happening, you're going to be blanching your green beans. That's boiling water, salt, green beans. And the green beans are going to be in there for 6 to 8 minutes for a crisp al dente bean. And then you take them out and you drain them off and you plate your salmon, you plate your green beans, and then you drizzle over the hollandaise. Now, if that's not a gorgeous lunch, I don't know what is. Delicious. For dinner, coq au vin with mashed potatoes. I know it's summer, and I know coq au vin is more of a hearty winter meal, but you can turn it into more of a summery stew. You're still going to use your chicken bone-in skin on, and that could be drums. It could be legs, it could be thighs, it could be breasts, right? Whatever. You can get a cut up chicken, and it's perfect for this meal. And you're going to marinate it, if you have time, in red wine. If you don't, then no worries. You're just going to sear off your chicken. You're going to add some mushrooms. Usually those little baby round onions are used, but you can chop up an onion if you can't find those other ones. They start with a C. I don't remember the name of them. I'm not even going to try. But you know what I'm talking about, right? The little baby onions, they're frozen. Or you can, I've never seen them fresh, but you can buy them frozen. Right, so if you can't find them, you're going to chop up an onion. And of course, garlic goes in there, and mushrooms, as I said, bacon, right? You can use bacon, you don't have to, but it is traditional. What else? And then you're going to start to deglaze with your red wine, a little chicken stock, pat of butter, sea salt, pepper, of course. You can throw in some fresh herbs from your garden. This is where we're starting to make it summery. With the onion, you can fry up some nightshades, like you can add eggplant to it. You can add bell pepper, summer squash, right? You're bringing it, it's still traditional, but you're bringing it into the season that we're in. Now, you could do all that on the stovetop into a beautiful braising pot, right? Like a Le Creuset or a Staub with a heavy lid, because after it's all cooked on the stovetop, it can go into the oven to braise for an hour or two, right? Until it's gorgeous and ready to eat. Or if you have forethought, you can pop all of this. You have to fry up your chicken, of course, and get your vegetables seared, but you can put it into your crock pot and let it go all day and have the house smell amazing. And all you have to do is make your mashed potatoes. And it's a meal that is superior. So good. Yes, coq au vin with mashed potatoes and lots of butter. So that is our menu for the day. That is our card of the day, the Hierophant. And the Hierophant would want you to nourish yourself, nourish all those around you with your kitchen magic. I'll see you tomorrow.